everyone. This is the last video for lesson number 2, Is Matter Around Us Pure? Today we will conclude the chapter by studying about crystallization, physical and chemical changes, elements and compounds. So let's start up with what is crystallization. Crystallization is actually cooling a hot saturated solution that result in the deposition of well-defined and well-structured crystals, and this process is called crystallization. How it is done? Generally, a solution of a solid and an insoluble impurity is there. Then excess of the solid is removed by filtration. Then it is evaporated to reduce the volume of the solution. Then this hot liquid is transferred to a dish where the crystals are formed once they are cooled, because here the solution is saturated. Okay, and this is called crystallization. If we define that, it is a technique to obtain pure crystals from an impure mixture, and it is also a chemical solid liquid separation technique in which mass transfer of solute from liquid solution to a pure solid crystalline phase occurs. Let's see what are the applications of crystallization. Crystallization are used for purification of salt that we are getting from seawater, and also used for separation of crystals of alum, that is known as fitkari in Hindi, from the impure samples. Now let's see how purification of drinking water takes place. Drinking water consists of three types of impurities: suspended impurities, which can be seen by naked eyes; dissolved impurities, which cannot be seen but they can be removed by sedimentation; and bacterial impurities, which also cannot be seen by naked eyes but can be removed by using a germicide. So basically, water purification system involves four processes: sedimentation, loading. Loading, you all know, here potash alum is taken, and this potash alum speeds up the process of sedimentation. After that, the filtration process is done, and then chlorination. It is just the repetition of what you have studied in class 7. So try to make a flowchart of it by your own. Next, let's study what is a physical change, like melting of an ice cube, boiling of water, mixing sand with water, tearing of paper, chopping of wood, and mixing of different color of marbles, say. So these all are physical changes, because here no new substance is formed, there is no change in the properties of the substance, and the changes are temporary. Let's see the characteristics. It is temporary and irreversible, no new substance is formed, mass does not change, and there is no loss or gain of energy. Let's move on to chemical change. Chemical change like iron rusting, burning, metabolism, cooking of egg, baking of a cake, rotting of a banana, then fireworks, chemical battery, electroplating. These all are chemical changes. Why? Because firstly, these changes are irreversible, then a new substance is formed, and there is a change in the property of the initial substance. The different characteristics are: the change is permanent, one or more new substances are formed, and mass of the substance is actually undergoing a chemical change, and energy is generally involved in a chemical change. So let's conclude the chapter by studying the last part, elements and compounds. Though we have studied this in the first video of the chapter, we will just be revising this once again. Elements and compounds, these are generally the pure substances. Elements, they contain only one kind of atom. As you can see, helium. Helium, it will have all the elements, all the atoms of helium only. Oxygen, it is O. If you write oxygen gas, O2, then also it is having all the atoms of oxygen only. No other atom is joining here. Okay. In case of compounds, two or more elements are joining together, but their proportion is fixed. For example, water, it contains 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, and the composition remains same. Means 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen will form water. It cannot be changed to H3O5 or any other number of atoms. Let's study more about elements. Now, elements constitute the simple chemical substance where the atoms are exactly same, whereas compounds are made up of 2 or more substances that are actually chemically bound in a fixed ratio. Okay. Now, characteristics of elements. Element consists of one kind of atom only. It cannot be broken further into simpler substance. It is homogeneous. It has fixed melting and boiling points, and an element may chemically react with another element or compound also. Let's see. Based upon the physical and chemical properties, elements can be classified as metals, non-metals and metalloids. Metals, you know, they are good conductors of heat and electricity. They are lustrous, they are more dense, and non-metals, they can be existed in all the 3 states of matter, solid, liquid, gas. They don't have that luster. And metalloids, they are somewhere between metals and non-metals, like boron is there, silicon is there. They have the properties of both metals and non-metals in them. Okay, so let's study more about compounds. Compounds is made up of same elements combined together in a fixed proportion by mass. It is also homogeneous. Why? Because the composition is always the same. It will not be changing. And the properties of compound are different from those of its constituent elements. As you know that oxygen is a supporter of combustion, but when it is combining to form water, then its properties have changed. It is not supporting combustion. Actually, it is stopping the combustion while combining with hydrogen. And the constituents of compounds cannot be separated by any physical means. Let's see some differences between elements and compounds. Elements consist of only one kind of atom. Compounds have more than one kind of atom. We can divide element into 2 or more simpler substances by chemical means, but we can divide compounds into elements by chemical means only. Okay. Elements, their number is fixed. It is 118 elements which are categorized as metals, non-metals and metalloids. But for compounds, there is no fixed limit. They are infinite number of compounds are present. Okay. Let's see the differences between compounds and mixtures also. These are some of the differences which I have added in my slide. You can go through them and try to learn all these differences. So this video completes your chapter number 2. Thank you.